Has the possible existence of aliens ever intrigued you? Science fiction suggested a hypothetical situation decades ago. What if alien life prevailed in an ocean beneath the ice sheet of Jupiter's moon, Europa? Well, this fiction has almost turned into reality thanks to a groundbreaking discovery. Now, scientists have confirmed that it's very likely that such creatures might take shelters in the oceans of Europa, one of Jupiter's 16 moons. Solid evidence claims that an ocean of liquid water lies beneath Europa's chilly ice exterior. As we know, water is an essential ingredient for all living organisms. Europa's huge and jaw-dropping deep ocean is primarily regarded as the most promising location for searching for life beyond Earth. Many scientists believe that this massive subterranean sea could be home to living microbial species similar in size and structure to those found on Earth. Others wonder if a frozen moon with a surface temperature of 260 degrees Fahrenheit or 170 degrees Celsius can provide energy for the essential chemical reactions required for life. However, owing to billions of charged particles that regularly rain down from Jupiter, a recent study published in the journal Nature on 27th of January reveals that Europa does have plenty of biological fuels. Astrobiologists or scientists who research the origin, evolution, and future of life in the universe reckon Europa has plenty of water and the necessary chemical ingredients, but confirming an energy source has proved challenging. So, the recipe to life is still missing a component on this moon. But we have the studies of a renowned scientist to shed light on the source of energy on Europa. According to Christopher Chiba, Associate Professor of Geological and Environmental Sciences, this constant radiation bombardment could produce organic and oxidant molecules enough to drive a major European ecosystem. Chiba's fascination for extraterrestrial life drove him to the Cornell laboratory of renowned astronomer Carl Sagan, a longtime space exploration enthusiast. In 1991, Chiba got his PhD in astronomy under Sagan's mentorship. Chiba now holds the Carl Sagan Chair for the Study of Life in the Universe at the SETI Institute in Mountain View, California, and his position on the Stanford faculty. The abbreviation SETI stands for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Carbon is the fundamental structural element for all species on Earth, and it is used to build anything from cells to genes. Many organisms get their energy from carbon-based substances, like sugar, which takes energy to break the chemical bonds between carbon atoms. Plants and algae use solar energy to make their organic compounds from carbon dioxide gas absorbed from the atmosphere or the water. Photosynthesis is the name of this process. According to the infamous astronomer, because Europa's ocean looks to be beneath an ice cover too thick to facilitate photosynthesis, the sun would not offer Europa adequate energy to sustain life. He thinks a more likely energy source is the super-fast small particles that bombard Europa from Jupiter's atmosphere. According to Chiba, Jupiter has the strongest magnetic field of any planet, more than 10 times stronger than the Earth's. Protons, electrons, and other space particles are accelerated to extraordinarily high speeds when they become stuck in Jupiter's magnetosphere. Europa's orbital route around Jupiter is deep within Jupiter's enormous magnetic field. Thus, it gets swamped by charged particles or ions all the time. Chemical reactions are anticipated when these ions collide with the moon's icy surface, converting frozen molecules of CO2 and water into new organic compounds like formaldehyde. Hypomicrobium, one of the most prevalent bacteria on Earth, relies solely on formaldehyde for its carbon supply. The professor believes that comparable formaldehyde-feeding organisms could be present and thriving in Europa's deep ocean, and these extremophile microorganisms could survive the atrocious climate on the moon. In addition to producing organic fuels, Jupiter's radiation may trigger chemical reactions that produce oxidants, such as oxygen and hydrogen peroxide, which can be used to burn formaldehyde and other carbon-based fuels. Furthermore, the astronomer mentioned that the oxidant and organic compounds generated on Europa's icy surface are only biologically relevant if they penetrate the chilly layer and reach the ocean. The dilemma is that if Europa has a liquid ocean, it is concealed beneath an ice cover that is 50 to 100 miles or 80 to 170 kilometers deep. If extraterrestrial beings want the formaldehyde for their buffet, there must be a mechanism to get it past the thick ice covering and into the sea below. Recent images from NASA's Galileo satellite show indications of abrupt ice melt-throughs, which could allow marine bacteria to come in touch with oxidants and organic food supplies quickly. The consequence might be a population explosion akin to microbial blooms that regularly occur in Earth's waters. Earth's surface ice looks to be naturally recycled into the ocean every 10 million years, says the holder of the Carl Sagan chair, allowing for a very gradual transfer of life-giving elements to any underwater species. And how many bacteria may there be in Europa's sea? According to our renowned professor's conservative estimate, 1 creature per cubic meter on the moon is far from the millions of species that fill each cubic centimeter of water on Earth. All theories concerning life on Europa rely on proof that a liquid water body exists between the surface of the moon and its rocky core. Despite little known about Europa, photographs of the freezing world have unveiled long-standing mysteries. One is the appearance of a prominent double ridges that appear to be scars on the surface. The ridges, which can exceed 300 meters or 1,000 feet in height, are split by half-a-mile broad valleys. A scientific presentation about Europa that noted the strange double ridges stirred the Stanford's team's imagination. It reminded the scientists of a much smaller double hill in northwest Greenland by photographing the structures. They set out to understand how the Greenland ridges developed, loaded with detectors and other evidence. And guess what? There's a minor twin ridge feature on the Greenland ice sheet that looks identical to the ones we see on Jupiter's moon Europa. According to the researchers, Greenland's double ice ridges, which are around 50 times smaller than those on Europa, originated when shallow pools of underlying water froze and broke the top repeatedly, gradually forcing up the twin ridges. It's like keeping a can of soda in the freezer, which causes it to blow up. This is the kind of pressure that plunges up the ridges on the surface, said by Riley Kullberg, geophysicist and PhD candidate at Stanford. Europa's surface is too frigid to melt ice. Therefore, a similar process could work there if there is water in Europa's ice shell at a shallow enough depth to refreeze and generate the twin ridges. It must have come from below. This may be subterranean ocean water that has been driven up through fissures inside the ice shell. Dr. Kullberg speculated this may be subterranean ocean water that has been driven up through fissures inside the ice shell. Or if you had a single plume of warm, buoyant ice that rises high enough up inside the shell, you might get some kind of internal melting. Before proceeding, we'd like to thank you for watching till here, and we would really appreciate if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel. Let's continue. The idea is to go there and discover more, Chiba adds, stressing that the Europa Orbiter satellite, which will use radar to confirm the location of vast bodies of subsurface water, will be launched in 3 years by NASA. The orbiter is expected to arrive on Europa in 2008. NASA plans to conduct a remote landing after that. We'll know if there's an ocean in the next 10 years. It is predicted, if that's the case, Europa will host a slew of new space missions, Chiba adds. Nearby spacecraft might also be able to sample Europa's ocean without docking on the moon's surface, as the moon's water could be leaking into space. If that were so, it would mean that the moon is geologically active and vents plumes of water into space. If follow-up observations confirm these hypotheses, they will require a spacecraft similar to the ones sent near Saturn's moon, Enceladus. Could life on Earth have originated on Europa? Scientists unanimously agree on this one. The answer is most likely not. Europa is as old as our planetary system, and it's too far within Jupiter's gravity well to have contaminated Earth with life-bearing material.